Heyo! I'm Tara Lynn of Geek Saga Entertainment, here with my co-host Manny for the Geek Saga Show series, The Media That Made Us. This series focuses on media that the two of us consumed in our younger or maybe even just slightly younger years, media that helped shape our current interests and that we still love.
So I'm Manny, and for our 13th Media That Made Us episode, we're kicking off our coverage of the Lord of the Rings movie trilogy with our discussion of The Fellowship of the Ring, the extended edition, based, of course, on J.R.R. Tolkien's classic work and produced and directed by Peter Jackson.
Before we get started, just a heads up that you can follow me and therefore all of the Geek Saga endeavors at a Geek Saga on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube.
And you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Manissimo Art.
Just a couple other quick house cleaning items before we dig in. If you're watching this as a webcast on Facebook or YouTube, pretty please make sure to hit those like and or subscribe buttons. And if you're catching the audio only version on your favorite podcatcher, we could really use some more ratings, especially on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and would super very much greatly appreciate it if you could take a moment to mark the Geek Saga podcast 5 stars wherever you're listening. Last, but hopefully not least, we hope that you'll check out the Geek Saga Entertainment Patreon. We have a lot of tiers with just $3 per month, getting you the most prevalent perk of early access to podcast episodes. We also went through and revamped all of our tiers this past weekend. And we also have a few more interesting things coming your way that we're going to add to Patreon within the next month or two once we get them all sorted out. So definitely check it out at patreon.com/geeksaga_entertainment.
Our format for this Media That Made Us series includes our top 5 moments that made it, basically our hot takes from the portion of the series we're covering, followed by any insights we've uncovered from rewatches and or being longtime fans. And listen, one does not simply find 5 top moments in this film. Nevertheless, we must bear the burden of doing so and kick them off with When Saruman the Wise Abandoned Reason for Madness. It's a bit rough to kick off our top 5 moments with Saruman betraying and imprisoning Gandalf, but somebody had to do it. It's me, Manny. I was assigned to do it, so I had no choice in the matter. So here we are.
Listen, we wanted to keep these in order of occurrence, and this was one that we did both agree on.
Yes.
That it needed to be highlighted, and also just happened to be the earliest one that made our list. Now, to be honest, what I really like about this is, it's the thing that kind of fulfills so many plot points of the story. If Saruman hadn't done this, Gandalf wouldn't have missed the meeting in Bree, et cetera, et cetera. But also, it's just a really, especially the scenes where it first happens, where Gandalf goes to meet Saruman and they get in their little tiff and Gandalf gets in prison. When Saruman is first speaking about Sauron and how Sauron can't take physical form, but he sees all, et cetera, et cetera. Saruman is really intense when he's saying these things, but not in like the I'm totes on his side now, bro way. Not yet. It's not until he admits to having the Palantir that Gandalf and viewers probably, if you haven't read the books, obviously if you've read them, you know ahead of time. But really, if this is like a first time watching, I don't think it's until Saruman admits to having the Palantir that Gandalf and viewers might start questioning Saruman's alliances. And then like, bam, right after that, Saruman reveals that this is the case. But for a bit there, it's believable that even Gandalf would have been fooled by him. And it's not like a long scene, but it's just masterfully done. The acting, the directing, the camera work, everything. Listen, Gandalf does obviously escape, and we should all be thankful for Gwahir the Wind Lord, the eagle who swoops him away. It really is a situation that affects so much about the movie and the story moving forward. And it's, again, like I said, masterfully fucking done.
There's so many scenes in this movie that it's almost done to like a subtle point, which is what makes it so, like you had mentioned, it's beautifully done. This whole scene, I knew off the bat that Saruman was just going to be, the books aside for a second, I knew there was something up. Look at his castle.
But it's white. He's Saruman the White.
Saruman the White. But dude, his castle, white it was not. You walk in there and it is like this really oppressive feeling in there. And the way everything is set up, and it just has this dark. Then to top it all off, it's Christopher Lee. The guy's just a legend in his own right. We just know. Second he starts talking, I'm like, oh man, here we go. We're in for it. But I thought that there was like some cool things. Like the way they did the castle was really awesome. I thought it was great, the fight scene that they had together. And I found it really interesting that Saruman just doesn't kill him. He just doesn't. He's like spins him on the ground. You know, he like makes Gandalf breakdance for a little bit. And He just like spinning around, and then he just kind of exiles him to the top of his castle. Could have just thrown him out and been like, okay, this problem is solved. But like he wouldn't do it. And like, why didn't he do that? Does he want Gandalf to see the destruction? Is it because maybe they have been friends for so long, maybe that he's like, well, I don't want to kill my friend over this. I don't know. And I think like the cool thing about Saruman's castle, obviously it's super huge, super tall. You can see like the flatlands, everything is like great.
Mm.
And what I liked so much about it is as the movie is progressing, you see his surroundings of the castle becoming more of a barren wasteland. Because obviously they're cutting down the trees, they're doing all this kind of stuff. So it starts off as this kind of beautiful overlook on this area. And then as the movie progresses, it just looks more like a scorched earth kind of thing. And again, beautifully done, beautifully filmed. The cinematography is fantastic.
Yeah, I think that when Gandalf says, when did Saruman the wise abandon reason for madness? I think in Saruman's mind, he's the one who's being reasonable. Like, listen, Sauron is going to win no matter what. We can't stop him. So I have joined him. And I think he really, especially because he knows Gandalf, maybe he isn't as, he's not the leader like Saruman is supposed to be, but he's still very old and very powerful. And he has a lot of alliances. Maybe there's a bit of the we've been friends for a long time thing, but I think mostly it's that Saruman is like, well, we need Gandalf on our side. And he'll eventually give it up, but only if he absolutely has no other choice. Like you said, he's just sending Gandalf spinning around the top of his tower. He's got him planked off the edge of the...
He's just sitting there like...
Remember when planking was the thing?
Oh my
planked
God.
off the edge of the fucking...
It's funny, right? Because it's like Saruman should have just been like, oh yeah, no, we're going to join him. And Gandalf's like, no, we can't do that. He's like, well, we're going to. Like, I have a castle. Where's your castle? I'm a little smarter than you. I have a castle, bro.
And again, it feeds so much of what comes after as well. I think the biggest part of it is that I can't get over just how well done the scene is. Like, you read the thing on the page over and over again in my case, but oh man, there's something about these movies that caught me in the beginning, even in theaters before the extended editions, and has kept me coming back time and time and time again.
The extended editions brought that slow burn to it. And I think that's what really did it for me.
I wish we could get full extended editions of more movie series like this. But also at the same time, then we've got movie series like, I don't know, The Hunger Games that splits the third book that's, a few hundred pages at most into two movies, which I don't know is necessary, but...
Oh, like the Hobbit movies.
Oh God, don't even get... Yeah, we're not...
we're not going there, but...
We're not going there. Yeah. But anyway, speaking of things that keep us coming back to these movies, our next top moment is, if you want him, come and claim him. We went back and forth about these top 5 moments, and one that almost made it but didn't was the fight at Weathertop, where Frodo is stabbed with the Morgul blade. Because while that's certainly a scary and dark moment, and again, a really well done scene and everything, the real highlight for me anyway, and I think for you too, it's just in the end, like if it's between this and that, we're going with this, is when Arwen arrives in the nick of time. And we get to see the ride for Frodo's life, where she totally saves the day by carrying Frodo to and across the ford of Bruinen. And then she casts that spell to keep the Nazgul, the ring wraiths, from crossing behind her. I mean, it's just, she arrives, it's like he's about to die. Aragorn is kind of like, I don't know, guys, think he's going to turn. I don't know if we can do this fast enough. And here comes Arwen to save the day. The ride across the plains where the Nazgul are up in their business, and she barely makes it to the river in the first place, but then she's made it to the river and she has this one last thing under her belt and it works. God, that moment where she turns and it's just her face and just, if you want him, come and claim him. I'm getting chills just repeating her words. It was fucking great. It's fucking great.
No, it was fucking fantastic. And you know what I loved so much about the scene is that there's such a gentleness to the scene. There's this like protective gentleness to it. Like, she comes and she's clearly a badass. She clearly knows what she's doing, but that's like a true like savior moment, where you just feel completely safe. And Liv Tyler looks fucking fantastic as an elf. I mean, she is
otherworldly.
Yeah, like she is so beautiful to like begin with. And it's like you get to see her as an elf, and it was just like, dude, this was so good, man. And kudos to the entire filming crew with some of the practical effects they used to have a hobbit next to a human. They did it so great in this movie, because you sit there and think about it, it's like, oh, well, that's Elijah Wood. He's a normal sized guy. He's my size. But then nope, they just got this like little baby putting on the horse, like, let's get out of here.
The practical effects in these movies were so freaking good. I think that's a big part of what makes them stand the test of time, that that they didn't use like some janky late 90s, early 2000s CGI or anything. You're right. Saying that there's that gentleness to the scene, but yet she's also being so protective. She's so gentle and yet so powerful. And I'm not talking about just the spell, just like her firmness, I guess.
Her firmness.
Chef's kiss.
All right, here we go, guys. The meme we've all been waiting for. So it be, you shall be the Fellowship of the Ring. Because obviously we had to talk about the official forming of the Fellowship. And poor Frodo, like watching the council like devolve to a bunch of giants arguing about what to do with the ring. And he's just like, well, I guess it's on me then. I'm gonna do it. You guys can't figure it out. Just give me that shit. I'm gonna do it. You guys can sit here and argue all day.
Honestly, that is so me ending up in every leadership role pretty much that I've ever been in. I get so tired of everybody else just kind of maybe not arguing necessarily, sometimes arguing, sometimes like, I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. And I'm like, ugh, fine, I'll do it. Like somebody has to. Yes, it's gonna be me.
But thankfully Gandalf, who, let's be real, looks like he kind of knew this was going to be the end result, but still hates it for Frodo, has his back. And then of course the rest of this scene is absolutely iconic, with Aragorn pledging his swords, Legolas with his bow, and Gimli with his axe. With my ox.
Yeah.
I love Gimli.
You have my sword and my bow. And Gimli's, he kind of looks up like, and my axe. And this is the first time I think I've ever really paid attention, because I watched it twice. I watched it over the weekend and I watched it again over the past couple of days while I was working. And like, this is the first time I really, I think, paid attention to the look on Legolas's face when Gimli is like, and my axe. And Legolas is just like, ugh. He's like so like, oh God, of course, exasperated and annoyed. And it's not like super obvious, but it's definitely there. And of course, we all know elves v dwarves, blah blah blah. But Legolas' looks made it extra funny to me.
Yeah, I think that it was just Gimli being like, oh, well, if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it too.
Well, yeah.
Legolas
like, he's not going to let an elf take the ring or be around the ring without a dwarf there too. Exactly. Understandably so. Listen, they got their old beef back and back and back and back. But when Boromir joins in, he's still all like schna about it. So if the council insists, Gondor will see it done. He doesn't even say like, I will fight for you, I will do the thing. He's like, if I have to, I guess I'll be there because Gondor has to have a part. I'm being a little bit over the top here. Hyperbolic. I'm being a little bit hyperbolic here. He wasn't quite that over the top, but I don't know. Thankfully, Sam is more enthusiastic because, of course, Sam is poking around and listening where he is not supposed to.
Not supposed to.
And then here come Merry and Pippin, because obviously they need people of intelligence on this mission quest thing.
Yes.
So that rounds out the 9 companions, which is important because it mirrors the number of Nazgul, and who is part of it is important because the Fellowship includes representatives from all of the free races of Middle-earth, and because they all also have their own special skills. Well, I don't know, with the exception of Merry and Pippin, considering they weren't even paying complete attention to what they were agreeing to. And Pippin at the end is like, right, where are we going then?
Exactly. Which way is it?
Yeah, not even which way is it. He does not even know where they're going. They were half listening, half paying attention, probably chewing too loud or something, maybe a little bit high from smoking Gandalf's weed. And they heard Sam joining and they're like, well, Sam's going, obviously we have to go. Like, we can't let Sam have all the fun. But I think that, again, they could have made this scene, this whole thing, so much more simple, but they didn't. You see them, everything devolving because they're fighting about the ring, which is exactly what Sauron and the ring cause. You see the elves versus the dwarves. You see Boromir just being Boromir and wanting the ring for himself and Gondor. I don't want to say it's for himself specifically. I do think there is a part of him that it feels that way, but I think more so mostly so it's like for his people, because he wants them to be like powerful. But yeah, it just they show the whole gamut of how it comes to be. Again, like you said, we needed the meme, guys.
That's how these things are born.
Then they leave, and that's the other thing. As they're walking out, Frodo has to be like, which way is it again? And Gandalf's like, take a left. I like how he actually says take a left and not like go west or north or east or south or
Hmm.
anything. He actually says take a left because I am one of those people who absolutely despises when somebody's like, yeah, go to this intersection and go north. Or like when your MapQuest directions used to say that, or even GPS nowadays, sometimes when you're exiting from a parking lot, it'll be like, go north
Hmm.
on Rochester Ave. And it's like, what the fuck is north from here?
Yeah, it's like I don't got a compass in here.
I
All
can't
right,
see the
dude.
sun
Like,
right now. Exactly.
it's cloudy
Like
outside and my compass is broken.
if the sun is in the sky, maybe I could figure it out, but that takes me an extra few seconds and I don't want to do that. Take a left to go to Mordor, okay? I will say it is there is that part of me that's like, I don't think it means anything, but the whole idea of left being sinister, left-handed people are bad. I do not believe
Yeah.
this, just to be very clear. I'm reading into things too much, whatever.
No, 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 because the way Gandalf even does it is so caring. It's very fatherly. He's just like, oh, yeah, make a left. He's not trying to be like, oh, you're like the way he treats fucking Pippin, you
Yeah,
know?
Pippin especially. Oh my God. Who would have
Exactly.
a took? Okay.
Oh,
Speaking of
man.
Gandalf, we're on to number 4 of our top 5 moments already. Not surprisingly, this made the list. Speaking of Gandalf, the wizardly fatherly figure, number 4 is "You shall not pass." If you do not know what I'm talking about, I don't know why you're listening to this at all.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah,
iconic.
yeah, Gandalf taking on the Balrog, sacrificing himself to try to save the rest of them, or to save the rest of them. But at that point in time, all he knows is like doing the best he can, trying. I'm not saying spoiler alert for books that have been out for like close to 100 years and movies that have been out for over 20 years. Rip Gandalf, even though not really. We all know
Yep.
he comes back. But just, it's such a powerful moment. It's him giving his life, what he's doing, how he's fighting, how fucking awesome he is. And then he dies anyway, which is, it's scary and it's sad, even knowing what happens later. Of course, then you see all of them just kind of collapsing out of the mines. And the hobbits are like, they're down for the count. They're down and out, down for the
Yeah.
count, crying, depressed as fuck, for good fucking reason. And
Yeah.
Aragorn's like, Legolas, get them up. Again, I have seen these movies. I don't even know how many times. And I've read the books. I don't know how many times. And I still cried again at the aftermath of Gandalf's death. But even before he dies, it's just so amazing.
It's one of the most iconic scenes, in my opinion, on the silver screen. I mean, number one, it's fucking Ian McKellen. That guy can do anything acting wise. And it's funny because when I was watching this film, I kept forgetting that was him because I was like, it's just Gandalf. That's just what it is. And when he does that scene, man, and the way the wardrobe people, the makeup people and stuff, he just looked tired and sweaty, like they've been through those mines for days. And when he's yelling at the Balrog, man, and he just lifts up his staff and like smashes it into the ground, I was like, dude, that gave me a lot of goosebumps all over again, man. And I can't wait to talk about the flashback scene that takes place after that for the next movie, because that is one of my favorite scenes. But either way, you think he gets the Balrog, and it's like, great, the Balrog is like gone, you know, and he just stands there. And then you see the Balrog's like whip, grab him, and you think he's gonna get back up. And then he slips again, and he just looks at these people, and he's like, fly, you fools. And then he just fucking falls. I remember seeing that in the fucking theater and being like, wait, what the fuck? It still makes me tear up, man. I fucking love it.
The tearing up isn't necessarily even why it's so good. It's just the fight is insane, especially thinking about the fact that this movie was released Christmas-ish 2001. How many movies have come out since then, and how much technology has advanced and everything? And there are very few times in these movies where I'm like, I mean, that might have been done better now.
And it truly is amazing. I mean, this movie, you're talking 24 years, really filmed 25, 26 years ago.
Yeah.
Not only do they hold their level of quality to this day, decades later, but they look light years ahead of anything else. And again, not to like kick a dead horse here, but look at the Hobbit movies that they made. There is no reason those movies should have looked so bad as they did. The CGI was so terrible. And it's like, dude, you guys did this years ago and it looked amazing.
Let's not kick that poor dead horse.
Let's not do that.
Rip the Hobbit movies.
Yeah.
All right, what is our final top 5 moment?
They took the little ones. AKA Boromir gives his life to save Merry and Pippin. I love this scene. This is a fantastic scene.
He really tried so hard. And I think it's important to point out that he willingly runs to help Merry and Pippin specifically, knowing that neither one of them has the ring. And like, yes,
Yep.
Boromir's been doing his thing. He literally just before this tried to take the ring from Frodo, but he also at times was really kicking some ass. And in this last scene, he goes above and beyond. There's no arguing with it.
My heart really goes out to Boromir because he really was a good guy. He just couldn't resist the ring. And the fact that he went after Merry and Pippin knowing that they don't have the ring, but he's like, I got to protect these hobbits. Like, look, when you're talking about Gondor, and Gondor is just, there's nothing really left of it. He wants to see that come back again. He doesn't want his people getting pushed around or living in the ashes anymore. That's his motivation, is to just not be, I guess, like the garbage, right, of the town. And so that's why he wants the ring. And that's where he's getting easily corrupted. But in his heart, he's a good guy. It's just that some people are susceptible to getting really corrupted. It's just one of those things. And the ring will make you do stupid ass shit, like try to attack Frodo and steal it.
He was only human. And I think that the sad thing about it is that obviously, well, I mean, not obviously, but like stories like this, they need characters who are only human. And sometimes Boromir was like too much only human. But
he was
at
hurting,
yeah. I mean, listen, his dad's not the greatest. And he's even worse to his brother, as we find out later. Being stewards, they like have some power, but not all the power. And
I thought it was super touching when he goes to see Galadriel. And Galadriel's giving all the words of wisdoms, and everyone's like, oh, Galadriel, like, great. She takes one look at him, and like, later that she's like talking to his brain, and he just like can't look at her. He just starts breaking down and like can't even look at her. You feel so bad for him. You're like, wow, this he's like damaged, man. Like, he's seriously like fucking damaged. And I don't know. He wasn't a bad guy, man. And also, why does Sean Bean die in every movie?
and literally everything.
Everything. He just dies in everything.
To be fair, sometimes he's a straight up just bad guy. And I also think that what happened with him and Galadriel is probably a part of the reason why, even though he falters again with the ring and Frodo, I think what he heard from her, it still took root somewhere in there. And he realizes once again, oh, I fucked up or almost fucked up there. And that's why he throws himself so hard into saving Merry and Pippin, again, even knowing that they're not the ones who have the ring. Okay, so one thing that we're going to do for each of our Lord of the Rings episodes, each of these movies, is a section specific to not just the series, but the movie. This section probably will not remain the same or repeat across all three movies. It's something we're going to decide as we go along. But for Fellowship, we knew right away that we had to talk about Merry and Pippin, pure chaos goblins. I mean, hobbits. Granted, to keep things on track, we figured it would be best to focus on what we feel are the three most chaotic Merry and Pippin moments / scenes, beginning with...
They only end up, it's part of the quest thing because they're about to get caught stealing the farmer maggot's veggies, for fuck's sakes.
It's so funny because Sam is like, I've never been this far from home. And then he's like so worried. And Frodo's like, what could possibly happen? We're still in the Shire. And immediately Merry and Pippin run into them. It is slapstick a little bit, but it's Merry and Pippin. So of course it is. But also I love how Sam is like, I've never been this far from home, however many miles, kilometers, etc. ago. Merry and Pippin are just like fucking exploring the Shire, stealing from everybody, from Farmer Maggot. Also that name. Really? Farmer Maggot.
Farmer Maggot.
Why Tolkien? Why?
That's hilarious though.
But they literally physically run into Frodo and Sam. And then it's like, okay, well, we're just going to go with you guys. We're going to run because the farmer's chasing us with his dogs. Then the Nazgul are there. And to be fair, Merry and Pippin, they're like, let's get to the crossing. And they take Frodo to the ferry, help Frodo get to the ferry. And then they're all on the ferry, just barely escaping from the Nazgul. And it's like, well, now they're part of the thing. And, oh, they'll probably only go to Bree, right? That leads right into our next one. But also, it's just very much like, Jesus Christ, they are only part of this fucking whole situation because they were plucking some veggies from some plot that didn't belong to them.
Yep, and they're going to get a vacation.
They were away from home, too. They lived over by Frodo. As far as I'll be honest, it's been a few years since I read the books, and I honestly I've never really like committed to memory where each of the hobbits lived, but they were at Bilbo's going away party. They seem to know Frodo and Sam pretty well. So it's like, I'm assuming they live closer to them than they do to Farmer Maggot. Ugh. But my God, they run into Frodo and Sam, but then they also help Frodo and Sam get away on the ferry, which is how they end up in Bree. And they're at the Prancing Pony. And this is our second most chaotic. And when I say second
Mhm.
most chaotic, I don't mean second in like one is more chaotic than the other. I just mean second in a list of three. And also it's Pippin, because let's be real, Pippin is far more chaotic than Merry, at
Yeah,
least in this movie.
Pippin is the problem. Clearly.
Pippin is the problem. They're at the Prancing Pony. They're all getting drunk, singing their fucking bar songs, whatever. And somebody's asking if he knows a Baggins or whatever. And Pippin's like, yeah, I know a
He's
Baggins,
right over
Frodo.
there.
He's like my second cousin or something. Like he's right there. We're
He's
here
right
together.
there.
Yeah. Even after they've had, yeah, they're
Yeah.
supposed to not be telling anybody who they are.
Frodo, come here. Show him the ring. Look, show him the
Yeah,
ring.
they're all drunk and enjoying themselves. And Pippin names Frodo, and Frodo, he freaks out. He falls over. The ring just magically, because it is magic, falls out of the air onto his finger. He disappears. As soon as the ring touches his skin, it's like, okay, well, the Nazgul, not only have they been tracking you and they can kind of figure out where you are anyway, because Sauron has eyes everywhere. Now the ring has actually inserted itself onto your finger. That sounds really gross.
Yeah.
Now the ring is
Oh,
actually
man.
put itself on your finger, and that causes all sorts of problems, because then the Nazgul are on their way. They attack Bree.
Yep.
Aragorn, aka at this time Strider as they still know him, has to swoop in and save the day. And they're like, should we trust this guy? And it's like, I mean, who do you trust, this guy or the fucking ring wraiths? Are
Yep.
obviously definitely bad coming after you, which is wow.
My personal favorite is where they're in the mines of Moria, and Pippin apparently just has to touch everything, and he knocks that fucking skeleton in the armor. It was like one thing after another. He bumps into it and makes a noise, and then it like slowly goes down, and it's like, and then you see the chain that's connected to like the well bucket, and it's like, that's coming next.
Yeah.
And it fucking crashes, and then he just like stands there quietly looking at Gandalf because he knows Gandalf's mouth is going to open next, because it was such a great draw out on a scene that probably didn't need to be as long as it was. It almost broke the attention of what was going on because of that. Even though everyone knew at that point they're making noise, what's going to happen now?
Yeah, I mean, right before that, when they were outside trying to get into the mines, they're throwing rocks. Pippin and Merry are throwing rocks into the water. And I guess like maybe in like regular person hands, they would be like stones, but to them, they're like, to me, they also look like rocks because the way they were like actually like plopping, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm getting into this. Rocks or stones, stones or rocks.
Yeah.
Who knows, guys? I think the Watcher in the water, it was already waking up, but them throwing rocks for sure sped up the process or made it worse. But like you said, it's such a comedy of errors because he knocks the thing, it clatters and clatters and clatters and clatters for so long. And just when you think it's going to stop, the bucket falls and it clatters. Hold up, I took. I will say major props though to Merry and Pippin, because when they think the cave troll has like gotten Frodo, they just jump onto its back and they're like fighting
and they're like,
stabbing away. You can't say they aren't at least a little bit brave.
they're brave for sure. For sure. You just got to motivate them properly.
But they're also chaotic as fuck.
Chaotic as fuck, baby. 100%. I love it.
Give 10 out of 10 hot dogs.
10 out of 10 hot
Marion
dogs for the chaos.
Pippin for being chaotic as fuck.
Yes, they get the hot dogs.
This is something like I decided it would be more amusing to discuss this during this episode versus in our pre-episode planning chat. But there was too much Merry and Pippin stuff that I wanted to talk about. And none of it was really like top 5 overall moments sort of situations, but we needed to talk about it. So I was like, okay, well, let's do a Lord of the Rings specific section that is all Merry and Pippin. But then I started thinking about it. And also my stepkid and I started watching Two Towers. I didn't take any notes. I was just watching for funsies because he also loves Lord of the Rings. And we started watching that and I was like, oh, this is not, there are definitely chaotic Merry and Pippin moments in Two Towers, but that's not the funny part about Two Towers. And Two Towers is not an overly funny movie, but I have an idea of what the thing we will highlight for Two Towers is going to be. But for this one, it's Merry and Pippin being chaos hot dogs, goblins, hobbits. Now that we have discussed our best chaotic Merry and Pippin moments, we're going to talk about our ring sights. These
Yes.
are our personal insights, like things that, that wouldn't necessarily make it into the top 5 or are just too generic to do so. And we got a whole bunch of them, not shockingly. Annie, what is your first ring sight for Fellowship of the Ring?
So my first ring sight, I'm going to add after this first ring sight because there's something that I forgot to put in here. But number one, the goddamn opening scene from the Fellowship of the Ring is so beautifully done that it's like that prologue, Kate Blanchett narrating it. And they're telling like what happened. And like the way everything is fucking filmed, the way everything is fucking done with the elves going to war with Sauron and shit like that. And the way it builds up, I'm a big fan of prologue scenes done like that, where it's kind of like, okay, we're just going to kind of info dump you right now.
Yeah. Well, info dump, but done well.
Exactly.
That's the thing. They're telling, but they're showing in such a well done and intriguing way that it's telling, but it's more showing, I think, than telling.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that doesn't make sense because, like, yes, they're saying all the things and doing all the words.
Mm-hmm. But I love it. That whole opening scene is just fucking fantastic. Still gives me chills. And I've actually, even though I haven't sat down to watch the movie in a long time, there's been many of times that I'll sit outside by myself and I'll drink. And I always put on that scene. I start putting on Lord of the Rings scenes that I really love. And that was one of the scenes that I always put on because I just love it. If somebody one day, like 100 years from now is going to write a story about my life, they're going to be like, okay, that's going to be the opening prologue to Manny's movie right there. It's going to be something like that, something so epic. Like I love it. It was personally, I mean, as personal ring sights, that was my personal favorite. It's not really a ring sight, but it's just me, kind of. But
no, it's a personal insight. Ring sight.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm all about the not always great play on words here.
The next one I was going to put in here real quick that I forgot to put was all the singing and dancing and songs that took place during the party for Bilbo. There was such a celebratory feel to it. I loved it. It reminded me of being a kid and going to like 4th of July with like my family and all this stuff. And the way everything was like great. And the way Bilbo is running from those people trying to like, he doesn't want to get caught, like there was something so wholesome about that whole thing. And the music was fantastic.
Well, I mean, to be honest, like when I was making a list of possible top 5 moments, the night to remember Bilbo's party was one of them. It was the first one I dropped, I think, but not because it's not important or not great. It's amazing. And like you said, like it reminds you of your family parties and stuff. Yeah, it does me too, especially since nowadays my family, my parents and my 2 sisters and their husbands and kids, they all live on like basically a compound. And I'm the only one that doesn't. Like even when I'm in South Carolina, I'm a city-ish person. So I live about 30 minutes away from them. And it's like, in a way, it's like I feel like Bilbo enjoying the fun and the music and the food and the company to a certain point. And then I'm just like, I wish I had an invisibility ring or like a teleportation device where I could just go back. Like I could drink a bunch and have a whole bunch of fun and then just go back to my house 30 minutes away without dealing with Uber or anything.
Yep.
And get away from my family who's much more conservative than I am. It's like I can have fun in the moment, but I don't actually want to like get into discussions with you guys. I'm Bilbo at the end of the day, really.
Oh man, yeah.
I'm gonna go live with the elves, my literal friends.
I'm like more of the Frodo, where I'm like, oh, whoops, the ring just accidentally fell on my finger. Gotta go, guys. Whoops-a-daisy.
So my first ring sight, this is very generic, but oh my God, the vistas. The pan over the scenery. These continue throughout the entire trilogy for sure, but I feel like they shine the most in Fellowship, probably because we haven't gotten to most of like the super dark stuff yet. It's just a cinematography thing and also the amazing landscape of New Zealand where they filmed. But watching it not once but twice within the past week, it just reminded me of, I don't even know that they do anything like that anymore. Very lengthy shots of just landscape. And yes, there's like little things happening, the Fellowship marching later in the movie and stuff like that, but it's so fucking well done and I love it.
Including the fact that the majority of those places where they filmed, you couldn't even get to. They had to like helicopter drop these people in these things and then pull the helicopter back and be like, okay, now we're going to film you walking. All right, my turn. So this is one of my favorite things about the entire Lord of the Rings movie trilogy here. I loved the like 1980s scary style scenes in this movie. And there's other ones that I'll talk about and bring up for the other ones also. So I'll just stick to Fellowship of the Ring one. There's something about using practical effects in scenes like this that make it work so well. And it reminds me of when I was a child and I would watch scary movies back then. Because they're scary, like, oh, like Freddy and Jason. Oh my God, they're going to kill us. But when they do eerie ass shit, that's the part that sits with me, you know? So it's like when Frodo puts on the ring, right? And the ring wraiths show up and you get to see what they look like. You know, you can see that they're the kings who had the fucking, and the way it looks with the smoke or haze coming off them, you know, and he's just like sitting, it reminds me of like a nightmare is what it reminds me of. Like it's
Yeah, oh
just something
yeah.
scary and fucking loved it. It was great. The way it's done cinematically, I guess, is just really scared. It made me feel like I was 8 years old watching something I wasn't supposed to be watching.
You're right. There are scenes here where it like evokes that. Now, that said, I can't be the only one who, despite the obvious scariness slash
Mhm.
seriousness, has a bit of a laugh when Gandalf shows back up in the Shire a year past Bilbo's birthday. Frodo walks into his slash previously Bilbo's house. It's all wrecked. Somebody's obviously broken in. Gandalf shows up, grabs Frodo. We get this like extreme close up of his giant head. And he's like, "Is that secret? Is that safe?" It is a little bit surprising, scary, serious, but it's also like,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I'm
That
not
was
supposed
funny.
to laugh at that, but I always do. Okay, so speaking of dudes in this movie, I don't know. I have no good segue into this next one. All I have to say is that Aragorn Aragorn. Aragorn and the prancing pony. Him just with his hood all low, smoking his pipe. You don't even know like
Mhm.
what his face fully looks like yet, but it's still like its own sexual awakening type moment. That is all.
Yep.
And then you do see what he looks like, and yeah, he's dirty. He's dirty and he's sweaty and wet, and I don't even know what the fuck is going on there, but oh, my like 2001 self that had always kind of just been attracted to clean cut boys. And to be fair, I was still technically a teenager in 2001, was like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
What is happening? What is
What is
happening in
happening
my
to me?
mind, in my heart,
Exactly.
in my nether regions?
Exactly. It's time to go to church.
I know that there are people who thought that Legolas was the hottie in these movies. I'm not saying that he wasn't attractive,
Mhm.
but Aragorn times 1,000. Like, come on, look
Yeah.
at him.
He
Just
was
look at him. And I'm not somebody who dated people who were super older than me or anything like that. So when I first saw this and felt that, I was like, oh, he is old enough to be my dad in real life.
that doesn't matter though. This is
Yeah,
Middle
no,
Earth.
it's
It's
yeah, it's
different.
Middle Earth, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the actor being old enough to be my dad. Aragorn is old enough to be like my second great
Yeah,
grandfather.
exactly.
Oh my god. That
Oh
said,
man.
I'm not the only one attracted to people much older than me, am I, Manny?
Dude, fucking Galadriel, man. Galadriel comes down off those stairs with her ex-boyfriend or whoever it is, you know, before I met her. She just with that ray of light behind her. And it's
Yeah.
Kate Blanchett. So when she talks, she's like very, oh, you know, and she stares into your eyes. Like I'm just sitting there like, no wonder Boromir broke down like a baby. I'm getting ready to break down like a baby right now, just looking at her. Stop looking at me like that. You know, I'm mentally assaulted at this point. But even after all these years, I watch that scene and I just melt into a puddle of water. There is something so fucking angelic about her presence. But I think they kind of did that with everybody. I mean, think about it for a minute. You're talking about Aragorn, right? His presence was fucking amazing. He didn't have to
Mhm.
say anything. You didn't even have
Yep.
to see his fucking face yet.
Nope.
But the presence was fucking there,
Just you
you
knew
know?
he was hot.
You knew he was hot. Look at Elrond.
Elrond.
Yeah, same thing. I don't know. There's just like a presence when he's telling the dude to cast it into the fire. They're all sweated up from fighting Sauron for however long. There's just everybody, you know, Liv Tyler when she's on the horse and looking back at the people. It's like they just gave these people such powerful fucking presence. I don't know.
Well, and
I
I
think.
do think some of it is their looks because all of them have strong features in a way.
Mhm.
Not all of the same strong features, but certainly strong features, particularly with the elves. They all have one or two like strong features about their face. And Hugo Weaving, attractive, I would not say, but he definitely has this like sharpness and like otherworldliness about him. So I might not find him attractive, but at the same time, yes, there's like a power behind their looks. And someone in the comments is saying ageless. And yes, that too,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that would be correct. Yeah.
But also what you're saying about Galadriel, the moment where she is talking to Frodo and kind of has that powerful moment, in place of a Dark Lord, you would have a queen. First of all, Galadriel, girl, calm down. But she also refuses the ring because she's a boss ass bitch.
Yeah.
And she shows him what could be. And she has that moment for herself where she's like, yeah, I could take this, but I'm not going to. My God, boss ass bitch. Like her
Yep.
and Arwen both. Also, let's be real, Gimli simping for Galadriel is so my jam.
Look, I'm not gonna lie, that would have been me. This is why me and Gimli, like everyone's like, oh, I want, giving him shields and shit like that. I'd have been like, girl, let me just
Oh,
get just
even she
one.
gives Sam the rope and he's like, hey, you don't got any more of those special
Just
daggers?
swords. Yeah, no, I would definitely be Gimli there. I'd be like, let me just get just one hair, just one, so I can like put it in a locket.
The cutest part about it is he doesn't even say it on screen. He's like, there's one thing, but no, it's so stupid. It just shows her smiling, like you said, angelic and otherworldly.
But it was so
And
beautiful because he's like, I asked
yeah,
her for one hair on her head and she gave
yep,
me three. I
yep.
was like, oh, I love you, Galadriel. Love
Listen,
you.
those hairs probably literally regenerated the moment she plucked them out. But also, she's an elf.
Yeah.
There's like magical properties to them. And it is important that she did this thing for a dwarf, especially. And just also Gimli, his simping is just, listen, she deserves it. Gimli, I'm here for it. Obviously, we see that he has more positive feelings toward elves even before this. I think him and
hmm
like Liz are coming to terms with their alliance, etc., even before
And it
they.
gets so much better as it goes
Oh yeah.
forward.
Okay, going back a little bit, I want to talk about the password to Moria scene. I feel like I should have noticed this before, but I don't know if I ever did. If I did, maybe I just didn't think about it because again, like as we are watching, like as we watched Battlestar, we noticed so much more than we would have, even if we're only rewatching it once for our show. You're looking for things to note and to talk about.
Mhm.
So the password to Moria scene, when Gandalf first reads the inscription, he actually states it as "Speak, friend, and enter." He doesn't say "Speak, friend, and enter," which highlights the speak and enter. If you say speak, friend, and enter, you're saying like speak the password, my friend, and enter. He says, at least in the extended edition, speak friend and enter. Just like that. And then he starts guessing all these other passwords. And I'm like, wait a minute. For discussion's sake, uh,
Okay, so I have insight on this. For the people who don't know me, I deal in like cybersecurity and all this kind of stuff. And I come across issues a lot of times. And then what we do is we call, some people make fun of me and say, oh, well, it's the scenic route solution because it's the easiest solution possible. It's right there in my face. But like Gandalf, I take the long way sometimes because I'm thinking it's the most complex issue when it's literally the most simplest thing. This was one of those moments that I completely was like, you know what? Me too, Gandalf. Me too, man. Don't hurt yourself. I literally did this like 3 days ago. So I get it. You're so, I mean, he's a wizard, man. He's reading these books and everything is all complex and spells and all this shit. And then it's like, there's not for a second he's going to look at that door and be like, clearly they just want me to, he's not going to, that now, it can't be it. We're going to go the long way, guys. I get it. I'm
okay.
just saying, I get it. That's my case for him.
I understand that too. It was just weird to me that the way he stated it was speak friend and enter. Okay, so moving on from speak friend and enter.
So this scene, I really loved this scene. And I'm going to kind of like deconstruct it here. So just forgive me because we're going to get a little deconstructed here. So when Oregon is fighting the main orc dude, he looks like the typical, like in my brain, it's like, this is like the typical badass orc. Like, oh yeah, like nothing can fucking stop me. And there was like a trope for a long time in the early to mid 90s and obviously into the 2000s that when somebody got stabbed, the way that they would show that they were such a badass was that they would keep putting it in them like, oh yeah, look at how strong I am. Honestly, I think my trauma comes from those assholes in high school who used to put cigarettes out on themselves like they were badasses. And I'm just like, yeah, dude, you're just one cigarette away from a fucking infection that's going to kill you. Okay, great. So when I saw that, that's what it made me think of. I was like, oh, okay, here we go. It's one of these fucking badasses. And the way Argon, in his head, I can imagine, he's like, oh, great, you brought yourself closer to me. This works in my favor. And he just like pushes him off and just fucking takes his head clean off. No, like, oh, I'm going to get you now. He just literally backs up, takes his head clean off. Bro, head on, apply directly to the forehead, bitches. And whoever got that reference is probably closer to my age.
I'll be honest, I don't get it. Can you explain, please?
Yes.
Or your beloved co-host, can you
Yes.
explain?
I can't remember. Some people say it was from the 90s. Some people said it was from the early 2000s, but there was a commercial that was ridiculous. It was a person applying some kind of balm to their head, right? And it's supposed to help with headaches. But the commercial had no words. It would just say, head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on, apply directly to the forehead. Just on repeat for 30 seconds. That's it. Like it didn't even tell you what it was. And it was like this weird fever dream. That's what it was. Because the thing is that I would see that on back in the day, I wouldn't sleep without my television on. So when I would wake up at 3 a.m, that's what was playing as a commercial. So it was like a fever dream. It was weird. I don't know why I threw that in there, but whatever, man.
I get it.
Yeah.
It makes sense. And also, you're right. And this is also not the only time Aragorn does the most badass. This is not his most badass lopping off of the head, BT dubs.
Mhm.
It's, second best, I guess.
It was great because it was I just like that. I like it when people like say, oh, look at how tough I am and look at how whatever. And the person who's technically the underdog there is just like, bitch, fuck you. And I'm like, yes, that's what I like.
One of the things I was thinking about leaving to talk about later, but we have a good amount of time. So I think I'm going to talk about it now. I think this is something we're going to have to talk about in every episode, but Sam and Frodo as the top bro ship ever. Poor Sam. He's just like listening in. He's dropping his eaves back at the beginning.
Yep.
And gets roped into the ship by Gandalf. But then once they've gotten to Rivendell, and Frodo's like, well, God, guys, guess I'm taking this shit to Mordor.
Yeah, exactly.
Sam is like, well, God, I'm going too, obviously. Like, you're not going anywhere without me, Mr. Frodo.
It was so cute the way he chased him out on the boat. It was just like,
exactly.
Dude.
And then at the end here, he can't even swim. He's like, I will drown.
Yeah,
I will
exactly.
drown to be with you, Mr. Frodo. I just, especially because like in real life, I have been, not in my younger years, but I have been very lucky in my 20s and more especially my 30s and now in my early 40s to see men who actually have ride or die friendships where they are so all for each other. But back when these movies came out, that wasn't a thing that I ever saw. And so seeing, I don't know, I look at these two characters, at Sam especially, who was just like, I've never been like 10 feet from home. Gandalf forces him to go with Frodo to a certain extent, and then he just keeps going. And then at the end, Boromir is dead trying to save Merry and Pippin. Merry and Pippin are taken because they're halflings and the orcs are dumb as fuck. And Sam he's like, I can't let you go alone. I love them so much.
It's beautiful, is what it is. It's beautiful. I don't know. There's something that I love so much about that male camaraderie because we're not conditioned to be like that in any kind of way. Tell your male friend that you love them and that you're going to be with them forever.
Well, and even Merry and Pippin, they showed that to an extent too. They could have just not. They could have trampled them over in Farmer Maggot's fields and then hidden from the Nazgul and been like, fuck you guys. But they still helped. They were instrumental to Frodo getting across the river. They could have bowed out in Rivendell and they were like, nah. In the books, I believe that Elrond, maybe it's been a few years since I've reread, but I believe that Elrond wants Merry and Pippin to go back to the Shire to be the ones to spread the news that, hey, trouble is probably coming. And Gandalf was like, no, Frodo needs friendship and loyalty. And these two, yes, they're silly, but they are loyal. And they show that. I mean, my God, again, like we said earlier, when we were talking about Merry and Pippin being chaos hot dogs, or I'm so sorry. P.S. for anybody who didn't watch our Battlestar Galactica episodes, there's a character whose call sign is hot dog. It's become a thing with us. So the idea of people being hot dogs will just continue. Things being rated on a scale of 1 to 10 hot dogs is just going to continue. I'm so sorry. Not sorry.
Never gonna die.
And they do. They get attacked. The troll like stabs Frodo, and of course he has the mithril vest on or
Vest or
whatever,
whatever, the tunic, yeah.
and he's okay. But they're like, and they throw themselves on the back of this cave troll who's like 20 times their size. So anyway, all hobbits are loyal and lovely, and I love them. But
Mhm,
Sam is the most, and not to discount Merry and Pippin because they obviously did not choose
mhm.
to be, kidnapped,
Yeah, no, they
like
didn't.
taken prisoners of war by these fucking awful orcs. And I also love that Aragorn is like, yeah, no, Frodo's on his own shit right now. Sam's with him. Don't worry about it. We got to go get those other hobbits back.
Yeah, and I love that it ended like that because,
Yeah.
like, Argon didn't fight him. He was just like, "I would have went with you the whole way, but, like, I understand what you're doing." And you would think that, okay, the Fellowship is broken at this point, and then he's like, "No, dude, we're gonna go hunt some orcs," Gimli's like, "Yes!" Like, "Yes, I love it."
Gollum is his own thing. And we haven't,
Mhm,
yes, he shows up tangentially in Fellowship. We didn't talk about him at all because he is way more imperative to the story in Two Towers, obviously, and very obviously Return of the King. He's just kind of in the background, creeping. Gollum creeping. Okay. Gollum's creeping in the background. How many hot dogs does Gollum get for creeping in the back?
Look, we can't give him too many hot dogs. They knew he was there the whole fucking time. He
Mm-hmm.
is not good at it.
What would we rate it on? Would we rate it on his ability to creep, or would we rate it on I don't know.
I don't know what you'd rate it on. His
Oh,
ability to creep,
Gollum.
0 out of 10 hot dogs, hands down.
Yeah.
His ability to like be on a train, 0 out of 10. There's no trains in this movie.
Oh my
So
god. I'm sorry. Trains are from our hot DT.
look, there you go, right here. Look, he can be rated on a wriggling fish, though. Let's be honest. How many wriggling fish?
Okay, okay, yes.
Yeah, talking ability, like, yeah, 0 out of 10. Everyone knew. Now, however, persistence, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, 10 out of
Absolutely.
10.
10 out of 10 persistence. He wants his precious.
Okay, so last thoughts on Fellowship in terms of how this movie rates in the three movies. We didn't do this with Battlestar because we were doing like weird sections of episodes based
Mhm.
on like how the arcs went. But now that we're doing just one movie per episode, it's a little bit easier. Fellowship is my least favorite of the three movies. That is not to say I don't love it. Obviously, I do,
Yeah,
but it's a
I feel
lot of
that. Yeah.
it's a lot. Well, and also I have read the books, you have not, which brings us back again to our Manny is Unsullied moment. I still cannot believe you've read The Hobbit and not Lord of the Rings. What is
I
wrong
read The
with you?
Hobbit. Yeah. I read The Hobbit when I was young too. Like I read it when I
Yeah,
was young,
same.
young.
But yeah, this movie is amazing of its own accord, but it is a lot of buildup.
It is a lot of buildup and it's a slow burn. It's a super slow
Yeah.
burn for what
Yeah.
it is. Because even when I had watched it in the theater when it ended, I didn't think that was the ending of the film. And I was like, wait a minute, this is the fucking end. Now, God bless the way they released these movies, that it was like once a year on the same date, which is fantastic. Every movie that has a sequel should be doing that. Okay. Because people lose interest. We don't need a 5-year fucking span between sequels. So the way they did that was fucking great. My thoughts on it, watching it in the theater, I was super blown away by it because they did it so fucking good. But also, gonna be a weird one. It ruined the Harry Potter stuff for me.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't read Harry Potter. Obviously I know that was kind of geared towards like a younger crowd at the time, but I saw the other one, the first one, because they released the first Harry Potter movie. What was it? It was like a year later or something. It was like
No,
a year
no,
or two
no. The
later.
first one was it was the same. Harry Potter
Oh,
came out, I want to say Thanksgiving 2001, and
so it came
Lord of
out
the Rings
before
was Christmas.
is what it
Yeah, it
said.
was it
Yeah,
was
it came out
within a
before.
month of each other. Yeah.
But I did watch the Harry Potter movie in the theater. And when I watched it, I was like, holy fuck, I hate this. That was the only Harry Potter experience I've ever had in my life, was watching that first movie. And
You're
because it
lucky.
was, yeah,
That means that you have not given
no money has
J.K.
given except
Rowling
for that.
any of your money for however many years. I, as a former Harry Potter person, feel disgusted at the amount of money that I spent on her books and her
Yep.
movies and her.
No, exactly. So I watched that one and it wasn't like terrible. I won't tell anybody, oh, that first movie was like terrible or anything. But first off, it came off as like way younger than what.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was.
Yeah, I think I was like 24 when Lord of the Rings came out. So I was like 24, 25 or something. So it was already like older and Harry Potter came out and I remember watching and being like, "Oh, this would be good for like the kids. They'd be into this kind of stuff." But when you come off of Gandalf, you shall not pass and then go to fucking Quidditch, I'm just like, "Look, dude, I can't. I'm sorry. I just can't." Look, when it comes to the fucking Fellowship of the Ring, dude, the slow build in the Fellowship of the Ring is what makes the
Yeah.
second movie so much more fucking powerful. And then from that, it's what makes the third movie so much more fucking powerful. You got to have that slow build, man.
I think too that the slow build is why this movie didn't win all the awards when Return of the
Mm-hmm.
King did. Argumentatively, I think Two Towers should have won more awards than
Oh
Return of the
yeah,
King.
definitely.
Just
Yep.
saying. I'm
Yep.
sure we will eventually get some haters that are like, whatever, Return of the King was obviously the best. And it's like, why? Because it won awards? Because the fucking Oscars, the bullshit Oscars finally decided to be like, ooh, fantasy movies? That's a thing we should give awards to.
Yep.
Fuck you. Two Towers was better anyway. We'll get into that more in the future.
Yeah, you know what? I would like to give myself personally, I'm going to award myself 10 out of 10 hot dogs for not bringing up anything from the Two Towers. Because the only thing I've been doing is like sitting in my chair, like, come on, just let me just mention this
I
one
know.
scene. I just,
I
just
know.
this one scene.
It's
And I
so
can't,
fucking hard. It's
you
my
know?
favorite. It's my fucking favorite. The thing is, like, this episode was, I was worried that this episode would be too long.
No,
It's
this
fine.
is the
We're
slow
fine.
burn, baby.
We're,
This is
yeah,
the slow burn.
this is a slow burn, like hour and a
Yep.
half-ish episode. Two
Yep.
towers, five top
Mm,
moments. How could we possibly?
we'll see
We'll
what
see what
happens.
happens.
It'll be chaos nonetheless, you know?
Maybe not Mary and Pippin level chaos, but
No, we are going to blow the horn.
super excited. So when I saw Fellowship in the theaters, well, and you too, it
Mhm.
was so fucking good. And also, all three movies came out in theaters, and the DVDs for all of them had come out. And then, like a year after Return of the King, maybe more, a year or more after Return of the King
We
had
did the
been in
extended.
theaters, they were like, "Here's the extended editions," and it's like, "Fuck yes." I am in college. I have no money. I will spend
Yep.
80, 90 bucks, whatever it was, on these
Yep.
DVDs. And I watched them
Mhm.
and I was like, my life will never be the same.
Nope.
I had a friend when I worked at Disney, not my first time. I worked at Disney off and on for years, but when I was like actually a full-time Disney manager for a while in like
Mhm.
2006, a
Mhm.
friend of mine was also super into Lord of the Rings. And on one of my days off, it also happened to be her day off. And we were like, okay, we're going to do a Lord of the Rings. And this is not my first Lord of the Rings marathon, but it was my first one doing it with somebody who actually appreciated it as much as I did. And we got a bunch of junk food and a whole fuck ton of alcohol. And we sat down starting at 11 in the morning and we watched
Mhm.
the extended editions back to back to back to back to back. I've actually done that a few times since then, a full day Lord of the
Mhm.
Rings extended edition marathon. There's nothing like it, man. I don't think I could do that with any other movie
No.
series. Nothing adds up to it. Like, yes, this is the
Mhm.
beginning. Listen, I'm not saying anybody is less of a fan or anything if they don't want to do that, but my God, you could actually sit and watch these three movies. And as I got older, the last few times I did it, I actually cooked meals that matched up Balin's beef and something. Like I matched 10 cup Ranger cookies for Aragorn. I was matching food as I was doing it. And I know
Yep.
there's people that have websites that have done like way crazier stuff. The onering.net, etc.
Mhm.
They've gone over the top with these things. But when we decided that we were gonna do this movie series, I was like, listen, I'm wearing a hobbit-ish outfit. You have a cloak and a vest. I found a sort of pint-ish cup in my hand.
Yep.
All right. Any other thoughts before we close out?
I think I'm just gonna save the rest of my energy for the next one.
Oh my God. I have so much fucking energy.
Dude, like my body is so ready.
I'm almost mad. We have to wait like 2 weeks.
I know. Ugh.
As we close out the episode, we just want to thank you for joining us for our 13th Media That Made Us show on The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. We will be back Thursday, May 18th. Normally we do this on Wednesdays, but we both have some travel stuff going on. So we will be doing it on Thursday to continue our Media That Made Us coverage on the Lord of the Rings movie trilogy with the extended edition of The Two Towers. So fucking excited.
Yes. Yes.
I'm
10 out of 10 trains, baby. Yes.
40 out of 10 hot dogs. We're here
Yes,
for it.
exactly.
In the meantime, please do not forget to like, subscribe, or rate us 5 stars wherever you're watching or listening. And as always, please also consider supporting us by backing our Patreon at patreon.com/geeksaga_entertainment.